Miley Cyrus, it is so good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing so fab. How about you?
I'm doing pretty spectacular myself.
Good.
This whole interview could be just a whole bunch of congrats all in a row here. Like, congrats on this, congrats on that. Congrats on getting I'll start with a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
What can you remember the first time you went to like Hollywood Boulevard? Like, and you must have like thought like someday.
No, I absolutely can. Me and my dad, when we used to come out here, when I was much younger, we would stay at a hotel on Hollywood Boulevard, and my dad and I would walk late at night when no one would recognize him. We'd go into the gift shops, and my dad still has a Marilyn Monroe T-shirt that we got at one of the gift stores, and we bought each other the fake Oscars that said "Best Dad, Best Daughter" kind of thing. And I just remember kind of the magic of that time and that place. And the other thing that was really amazing about it was things hadn't sped up quite as much as they have now. So when you were actually kind of alone on the Walk of Fame, you were really alone. No one actually I didn't have a phone to take a picture of the I didn't have anything to remember except just to remember. And so sometimes I think the thing that it reminds me is that our memories are kind of better than pictures sometimes, just to have a moment where you're really kind of in it. And
I bet the place you bought your thing from
it's still
said,
there.
going out of business, and then you get it, and it's still, of course, still there.
Absolutely. It's sitting right on the corner. The lights are flickering, but they're on.
Is it crazy to think that you will now be permanently a part of that Hollywood Boulevard?
Definitely. I mean, everybody that's name is placed in that concrete, or, a piece of what's kind of inspired me to become the person that I am. And, just the idea of filmmaking and music, and more than anything, too, really connecting with the world in a way that, you get to live on beyond your years. Right. That's kind of what the song Walk of Fame is really about, is that when you kind of place yourself on this star, there's a sense of kind of forever, and it's eternal, because, a lot of these names, not all of them are still with us, but they're remembered in a way that kind of keeps them alive. And I love when you're walking down the strip too, and you see a name and you go home and watch that movie, and it's totally, it really is classic and timeless. Do
you know who you're next to as far as what celebs, and I think you get to pick that, right?
We're in the process now, because it's an early stage. I actually only found out the day before it was announced. I had no idea that it was happening. It was a surprise to me too.
Wow.
So kind of all early stages of everything, but it's actually around the time March is the 20-year anniversary of Hannah Montana. So I want to do something really special for that. And then that's March, and then May is the Walk of Fame. So I somehow want to marry those two really important moments, because without that character, I know that the star is really being cemented for me, but that character is such an integral part of that career that I really want to kind of harmonize the two of those things together.
Once again, just huge congrats on all of it.
Thanks so much.
And by the way, I guess the lesson we've learned is when shooting a video, I think I saw you talk about this on Kimmel, don't, like, you roll around on the ground.
Oh, yeah, knee pads.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, you got to bring knee pads.
Oh, my God. All right, as far as the Walk of Fame song, I think you kind of described the song and the meaning, but what's that song? This is a moment for you. Mm-hmm. So that song, where did it come from? Did you write it before this? Clearly, I guess you did, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it was a song that a band was working on, and I had heard Max, who's my boyfriend, who's in a band, they were working on it, and it was called something completely different. And I always thought that would be a really great pop song, but it didn't sound like it. And one of the lyrics, which aren't even in it now, was take one look at yourself in the mirror. What do you see and what do you fear? And that always planted a seed to me about fame. Because I think we see ourselves on screens, we see ourselves in pictures, but how often do we actually kind of really look at ourselves and what our life is? Because it's a very, it is a life where I get to connect with so many people around the world. In some ways, I'm loved by so many millions, but known by very, very few. And so that song, just in the way that it was already being created, had me really questioning fame and what is a true legacy? What does that mean to live on forever through your films and through your music and through your audiences? I mean, so many of the singers and songwriters I listen to today are no longer here. Right. That you really do get this kind of idea of eternity when you're in this industry. And so as me and Brittany started writing it, she wrote the poem that's at the end, and it kind of planted all the seeds for the Walk of Fame. And it just kind of came out when I started writing it. Every time I walk, it's a Walk of Fame, because it really is, going to the grocery store, doing these kind of mundane, normal things aren't quite as normal for me as they are for everybody else. They are this kind of Walk of Fame still. So even if I'm out of persona, there is a sense of still being on that I kind of carry all the time, because I want, if someone meets me out in the world, for it to be a positive experience. And so it's a complicated life that I kind of, I dance, and I think I've been able to hopefully do it with some grace. And even in times if it's been mistakes or been messy, I think that's a part of
That's called
that's
being
part of the
human.
legacy. Yeah.
It's funny when you were walking down the hall and we kind of connected. I'm like, hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I lived with the album last night, and as you're walking, I thought, oh my God, she's taking the Walk of Fame down the hall. It's kind of what you do. Every time I walk, you start going insane, but I walk away. What's that? Give me that lyric.
So it's also kind of about, one thing that when you're traveling and touring, you do have, the word kind of comes to mind that there's this like chaos around you, because there are, whether it's your cars are being chased by people or paparazzi. It's just a very intense universe that I've kind of designed for myself. And so that lyric specifically is being able to actually walk away from that admiration, because I do think it's hard to go from being loved by thousands of people at once. Like, if you're performing at a big show, you might be in front of 80,000 people that are screaming and telling you that they love you, but can you still feel loved when it's just you? Or can you feel loved when it's just being loved from one person? Yeah, that's what I was just talking to Ryan about. I was saying, for me, what I've really, at first it started as training and now it's become natural. And that's like anything. If you, at first you're learning how to swim, it's hard. By the end of it, it's like a bike. It's super easy. So you train yourself to be able to spend time alone and be comfortable in it. And now I actually really crave it. Something that made me kind of uncomfortable now really kind of is soothing and, puts me at peace for sure.
You seem like you're in a great space.
Yeah, I feel good, but I've done the work for it too. It's not always easy. And I think that's something that now, there's a good conversation going around about people just, taking care of themselves in a way that, especially in my industry, it wasn't always prioritized to take care of the entertainers and the stars in the way that we do today. But again, it's not easy to feel good all the time. Sometimes it takes a little bit of effort, but anything worth anything is, hard work.
Amen to that. Something Beautiful. Give me your thoughts, the vibe of the album and the movie. This is I don't think I've seen. I was trying to think how many people have done this. Like you've got Pink Floyd, The Wall back in the day, and I'm sure I'm missing a ton of them. But what you've done isn't common. Speaking of the pop opera, you've done.
Right. Well, I've always thought of even just kind of a persona. I've always thought of a visual or an idea of the character that I'll be for each era. So whether that's bangers, there's a very specific kind of iconic look that you can think of. And if you want to be Miley Bangers for Halloween, it's pretty easy. You know what to do. You dress as a teddy bear and you boom, boom, boom. And I've always really thought, even if it's just as a person, I've designed each era to be very unique. And it's usually visually, you can kind of see that era. And so I did that to a whole new extent this time where it wasn't single focused. That's never really the artist that I've been. I've always been more focused on an album itself as kind of this whole body of an experience. And so I couldn't stop at one this time or be singles focused. It really was about kind of elevating and highlighting each song on the record because they're equally as integral to the entire build of this entire project.
And you guys premiered it at the Tribeca Film Festival. Is that cool to do that, or is that
very
stressful, or what was,
No, it was cool because this year it was really music focused. And it's usually, yes, it's a film festival, but this year it feels that they really designed it to kind of, elevate the musicians that are also making films and visuals or documentaries. And so it was actually, I felt like I fit in, in a nice way. It didn't feel too random that there was a kind of a musical happening. It felt at home.
You mentioned earlier about being, walking Hollywood Boulevard when you were young, and here you are, fast forward to today. You're going to be on the Walk of Fame. You manifested that. I'm a big believer in either it's manifestation or positive thinking.
Yeah.
Safe to say you believe that manifesting clearly works.
Oh, yeah. I'm very, kind of cautious of everything that I say because I do think that we create our own reality in some way. It's one of those things that in life, when you think of something or say before the algorithm was reading your mind and listening to everything you say, even before that, when you think of someone and they call you, there's those little things that you're just putting out, you're manifesting, you're kind of, I think, creating your own reality. And so that's always been something that I've wanted to not say anything that I don't mean because before you know it, it's happening.
And you're not touring for this album.
See, you're manifesting that too. I like it.
Manifesting not touring?
Yeah, you're manifesting not touring.
Touring is rough out here, right?
It's too much.
Something about just like you just, I guess, alone.
Listen,
right?
I just did a 10-day trip to Paris and we had, I think, 15 suitcases and trunks. Could you imagine if I was on a world tour?
Oh, God.
I mean, I would need a plane for me, for the band, for the bags, for the dogs, for all the things. I am just not a light traveler, and I've always said I don't like to fold. I like everything to be hung, which is not very good for touring. You got to put everything in a duffel bag, and I'm not a duffel bag kind of girl.
What else do people need to know, Miley? What else is going on?
It's my entire life is kind of rotating and around the kind of the warmth of this one project because I am so passionate about it. And I do think that it takes, a certain amount of dedication and devotion to make anything worth anything. And so I've done that with this project. And as it's beginning to kind of release itself, it's been in theaters now. The album is out. It's on streaming. It's starting to ask me to let go. And that's my favorite part of the whole process is allowing kind of nature, and by nature, it's the listeners, it's the people that resonate with this music that make it what it is. For me, when I go places and somebody says this song changed or saved my life, that's really it's the biggest bow around this entire project. Right? Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask when the Star is out, when it's on the Walk of Fame next year. I was thinking what would I do? Would I go visit the Star? Late at night by myself just to see, do you think, are you going to be one of those people that...
Well, I'm a control freak, so I'm going to definitely not want anyone, putting bubble gum or drawing any weird stuff on it. So I'll probably be checking it out.
Bring a little squirt bottle,
I'm even 100. I'm even funny about, things going into museums or letting things out of my control because I, with my things, I think there's a level of I kind of can understand what they mean to me. Right. I know there's things like this Bob Mackie dress. Everybody wants to put the Bob Mackie dress in a museum. It's with me because not only does it mean something from the Grammys, does that performance represent something to the people who viewed it, and it kind of has a very powerful, taking my kind of it was a very important, pivotal, and pinnacle part of my career.
So you want to keep? Yeah, it makes
I
sense.
want to keep it for me. So with something that's going to be shared, a Star, I'm going to definitely be there with maintenance.
What stuff do you have in museums around now at the moment?
I had my docs from Wrecking Ball. I think it was in maybe the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They always send it to unique states like Ohio, Missouri, Mississippi. That's where all the museums are, and it's just a little bit too far for me to be sending some of my things.
Isn't it crazy to think that the shoes you wore behind some glass case right now? It's so crazy.
I think they've come back because every now and then they'll think I think they think I'll forget. She'll totally forget about that Bob Mackie, and then someone's niece is going to be wearing it to their prom. Or no way. It's happen. We got to make sure.
Final question, Miley. Message to your fans.
Message to the fans
OGs to news.
Oh well, the OGs. It's all the gratitude because everything that's ever really these most important moments they've not happened without the loyalty. And this morning I was actually talking to Dolly about the loyalty of fans because name dropper as things happen. I've never experienced putting an album out from a different, this is the first time I've ever kind of felt my womanhood on an album. It's very different than making music for teenage girls being a teenage girl. And I haven't been a teenage girl for a while, but I think I've put the pressure that I had as a teenage girl on myself as a woman now.
Gotcha.
And this album was the first time that I think what I was able to do was look at it the way that someone these legends that I admire, even a Madonna, the loyalty of those fans. Once you love her, you always love her. With Dolly, once you love her, you always love her. And with literally, I will always love her. So for me, for my fans, having a conversation with somebody that's not just relevant now, but has had a career as long as hers. The thing that I think has, stapled her into something being completely irreplaceable is that there's only one. She's always been herself. True. And so I think for me, for the fans that have always really supported me being a one of one, no matter what that looked like. And then for the new fans, I'm excited for somebody to kind of discover me because covers have been a huge part of my career. And now I see people covering my songs, and that's the way that younger audiences are even finding out who I am. They hear a cover of somebody else doing Flowers or, doing We Can't Stop, which I think Jinx Monsoon just did. I was very excited about that. So kids that, that maybe not know some of the music, they're finding them by people covering them. So I like that.
Thank you for hanging out.
A Jinx Monsoon name drop.
All
right.
Jinx Monsoon,
Dolly, Cher, Madonna.
Whatever,
you might think I'm a drag queen.
There we go. Miley, love you. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you so much.
At the end of every interview, fist bump to make it official.
Let's do it. Lock it in. Bye-bye. Thank you.